Andrea, a story of love and letting go. A story of pride, change, and the love that time couldn't erase. One morning in Manila. My name's Andrea. I'm 34 years old, and I live in a quiet apartment overlooking the city skyline of Manila. When people look at me now, they see a composed woman, someone who's lived well, someone who's fine, but what they don't see is that I stopped living for myself a long time ago. Every morning, before the sun rises, I make coffee and stand by my window. There's a small photograph sitting on the ledge, a young man smiling, his hair messy from the wind, his hands covered in grease from fixing a car. That's Marco. He's been gone for years, but somehow I still find him in the spaces between moments, the quiet hum of morning traffic, the smell of rain on the pavement, the song of the city waking up. He wasn't supposed to be my story, but he became the only one that mattered. 2. Before him, I grew up in a world where appearances were everything. My father was a businessman, my mother, a woman of reputation. We lived in a house with glass windows, so clean you could see your own reflection from the street, and I liked that, being seen. I was the kind of girl who always had someone beside her, always had attention, always had something new. Dresses, friends, admirers. People called me confident, some called me spoiled. I think I was just lonely. When you grow up surrounded by perfection, you start mistaking it for love. 3. The meeting. It was a humid afternoon when I met Marco. I was stuck by the roadside, flat tire, no driver that day, phone battery dying. I remember cursing the heat when he appeared, wearing a gray shirt, smudged with oil, a wrench in hand, and that kind of calm confidence that made him look unbothered by the world. He asked, "Need help, miss?" in a tone so casual, I almost laughed. No one had ever talked to me like that before. In 10 minutes, he had the tire fixed. When I reached for my wallet, he shook his head. "It's fine. Just drive safe next time. You look like someone who gets lost easy." Something in his tone, teasing, kind, lingered. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the mechanic with the easy smile. 4. The connection. We met again a week later. Coincidence? Or maybe fate being playful. I was at a small cafe with friends when he walked in, wiping his hands on a rag, looking like he didn't belong among the air-conditioned crowd. He recognized me immediately. He smiled. That same crooked grin. "Flat tires follow you around, huh?" We talked. He told me he worked at his uncle's auto shop, that he lived with his grandmother, that he loved the smell of rain and coffee. Simple things, ordinary things, and yet, everything about him felt real. I started visiting the cafe more often after that, pretending it was coincidence when he showed up too. Soon, we were walking home together, talking about things I never said out loud, about pressure, about wanting freedom, about feeling trapped in a world that glittered too much. He'd listen quietly, never judging. When I'd finish, he'd just smile and say, "You don't have to be who they want you to be, Andrea." It sounded so easy when he said it. 5. The contrast. My parents didn't approve of Marco. To them, he was just a fixer, a man who worked with his hands, not his name. To me, he was everything I didn't know I needed. He was patient when I wasn't. He was kind when I was sharp. He was grounded when I floated too high. But I wasn't ready to admit how much he meant to me. I still entertained attention. Old habits die hard. Flirty texts, empty compliments, little games that made me feel wanted, but never fulfilled. Marco never confronted me. He just waited, quietly, painfully, until one day, he said, "You can have the world, Andrea, but I can't share you with it." That's when I realized I was losing something real. 6. The realization. It hit me one night, during a family dinner. I was surrounded by crystal glasses, white tablecloths, polite laughter, everything I grew up thinking was happiness. And yet, all I could think about was Marco's hands, the way they looked when he fixed my tire, the way they felt when he held mine. That night, I left dinner early. I went to his small apartment, heart pounding, no excuses prepared. When he opened the door, I just blurted, "I'm done pretending. I don't want perfect. I want you." He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at me, really looked at me, and then smiled softly. "Then stay." And I did. 7. The battle loving Marco wasn't easy. The world didn't change just because we did. My parents were furious. My mother cried, saying I was throwing away my future. My father said, "You'll come back when you're tired of being poor." But I didn't. We rented a small apartment near the shop. The walls were thin. The faucet leaked. The electricity flickered. But it was ours. Marco would leave early for work, come home smelling of metal and sweat, and still find the energy to cook dinner. We'd eat on the floor, laughing, sharing stories, listening to the hum of the city through the window. We didn't have much, but we had enough, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. 8. The accident freedom, though, has its limits. Life always finds a way to remind you that happiness is fragile. It was a rainy evening when it happened. He was on his way to help a friend, a stalled car on the highway. He kissed my forehead before leaving. "I'll be back before dinner," he said. He never came back. A truck lost control on the wet road. They said it was quick, that he didn't suffer, but grief doesn't care about details. It just stays. 9. The aftermath. The days after felt like static. People came, said sorry, left food, left flowers, left. My parents wanted me to come home, but I couldn't. I stayed in that small apartment, surrounded by his things, his jacket on the chair, his notes by the fridge, the mug he always used for coffee. Every night, I'd sit by the window and whisper, "I thought we had more time." Time. What a cruel illusion. 10. The years after. It's been almost a decade since he died. I never married, not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. I'd already met the person who showed me what love should feel like. Steady, kind, honest. People say I'm wasting my life waiting for someone who's gone, but I don't think I'm waiting. I'm living, just differently. I've learned to find peace in simple things. Morning light through curtains, the smell of rain, the sound of laughter from the street below. Sometimes, I dream of him. He's always in the same place, by the sea, smiling, calling my name. When I wake up, I feel both full and empty at once. That's what love does, I guess. It leaves you whole and hollow all at the same time. 11. Now, at 34, I walk the same roads we used to. The city's changed. New buildings, new names. But some things stay. I pass by the cafe, where we first met, and for a moment, I see him, sitting by the window, hands folded, looking at me like it's still that first day. I smile, not with sadness, but with gratitude, because I had something real, and maybe that's why I never married again. Not because I couldn't move on, but because I didn't need to. Marco once told me, love isn't about forever, it's about truth, and that's enough. 12. Final thoughts. People think love stories are measured by time, how long they lasted, how much they endured. But I think love is measured by what it leaves behind. Marco left me peace. He left me kindness. He left me myself. And though he's gone, I live every day with the memory of someone who saw me for who I was, and loved me anyway. My name's Andrea. I fell in love with a man who had nothing, and ended up with everything I ever needed. End of story.